everybody, and welcome to the Jack Show. Today is a really exciting day for me because, as you all know, 2026 is a big election year, not just nationally, but locally. I am with Tom Van Overbeck, our Chico City Council currently, and up for re-election next year.
That's right.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today because we have mutual friends in Chico, but I think our love for our community is what bonds us really. And I look up to you so much because of the values and the points that you stick with. You had brought up civility and what it means to be civil with one another, even if you disagree or not. And you had said something in a past interview that I thought was pretty profound. And I wanted to remind everybody to encourage you to learn more about Tom by visiting his YouTube page. You can support him through your website as well.
Yeah, Facebook page too.
And the Facebook page, please. But I wanted you to take a look at an interview you did regarding civility and what it means to reaching across the aisle and how important that is. And then we're going to discuss on the other side. Take a look. Take a look.
And half the country has one viewpoint, the other half the country has another viewpoint. And we're not going to get these things resolved by making enemies out of the people who disagree with us. We're going to have to work with them and try to understand their point of view and find areas of compromise.
Tell me about that.
Well, I think we've gotten too far away from the idea that we've always had political disagreements in this country, and we had a civil war 160 years ago that killed 700,000 people. And so, and what can happen if the rhetoric gets out of control is it takes on a life of its own and it gets momentum. And really bad things can happen. We were already starting to see that in this country. We're starting to see an escalation of political violence. And so I view it as my responsibility as a public servant to help to try to turn that around. Being polite to your political opponents does not mean abandoning your principles, but it means that when people disagree with you, it's not personal. They have a different point of view, but there's no way you're going to convince somebody of the merit of your viewpoint by calling them names and throwing rocks at them. You have to engage them, have a conversation, and see if there is some middle ground. And so I found, for example, the people that I serve with on the city council that are to the left of me, which is most people, that we all want to have a safe, vibrant downtown, right? We want our children and grandchildren to be able to ride their bikes in the park and have none of the parents worry about them being assaulted by some homeless crazy guy. So there's a lot of common ground, and I think we need to focus on accentuating what we agree on rather than what we disagree on. Very simple stuff.
Very simple, but I'll tell you what, I've interviewed a lot of people, and you hit the nail on the head. 8 out of 10 issues we can find common ground on.
Yeah.
And a lot of Democrats that I know, especially over this last year with Trump being elected and that whole change and winning, like he did with all of those states that he carried, that a lot of my Democratic friends said, Jack, 8 of 10 of these I really agree with. And so what I've been trying to do in the community is say, how can we reach across the aisle without villainizing half of our country, half of our community?
Well, it's one person at a time. It's one relationship at a time. So, the younger people on the city council, every once in a while I'll have coffee with them, have a beer with them. And if an issue's coming up that we're both concerned about. But, it's something you want to keep in mind when you're dealing with people that may not agree with you. You can approach it and be offended personally, or understand that there's a differentiation between policy and personal stuff.
And that takes the anger out of it. You got to take the anger out of it. It's to come up with solutions.
Yeah, if somebody says they want to, socialize housing, take my house away, I'm going to take that personally. That's a policy, but so there's always a line there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But when even when you're just a city council person, the name calling is pretty surprising, actually.
Have you faced a lot of that?
Oh, yeah. No, everybody.
Give me an example.
Oh, I had this woman I have the great honor to tell you I've been demonized by the far right and the far left, which is exactly where I want to be.
Okay.
But there was a far right lady who's got a not podcast, but a Facebook page. And she said that I was a wealthy developer from the Bay Area, and that I had to hire models. I had some pictures taken with children on bikes, right? Well, first of all, the only thing I ever developed in the Bay Area was I added a bedroom to a house once, but I was never a developer in the Bay Area. And the kids that I had the pictures taken with, the photographer was out in front of my house, and these neighbor kids rode by on their bikes, and I said, "Hey, you guys have 5 minutes so we can take your picture." They said, "Oh, great. My dad will love it." So that was that, right? And it goes on, right?
And it's part of the game, right?
Well, you just have to have a thick skin.
That's right.
And part of being civil is not letting people get under your skin.
Yeah.
Even though you would have you might have reason to.
Absolutely. And not that it just because we're not showing it doesn't bother us doesn't mean it doesn't bother us. Nobody wants, those type of things out there. But Tom, you're so elegant, you're so graceful, and you're smart.
Did you write a letter to my ex-wife?
Yes, I did. I love it. But that's what gets me excited about Chico, because Chico is a community that I raised my daughter in. And you're giving us all hope for the future. And when we come back after this quick commercial break, I want to talk about the future, what's happening in January of 2027, and how you feel and what you've already done regarding the homelessness. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back with Tom, your city councilman here in Chico, up for re-election next year. We're pretty confident he's going to make it, but I'm compelling all of you out there, please, you need to get above that couch next year and make sure you are voting for your city leaders, because there's something that's taking place in January of 2027. And I'm going to have Tom tell you how important it is to get out there and vote next year. That's going to impact the Warren settlement.
Yeah, so this election coming up, the council election in 26, is really going to be is a referendum on how we're going to deal with the homeless problem. So what we've learned in California after 25 years of allowing this homeless thing to take place is that whenever you have large numbers of homeless people camped in your public parks or the city plaza, it ruins the space for the rest of the citizens to use, and it has an impact on the larger community. So when parents come to town to see if they want to send their children to Chico State, and they see homeless people camped in the plaza, it doesn't help with enrollment, which is one of the reasons enrollment declined, although it's climbing back up. So I think you can look at any California city and see that homelessness is terrible for the cities, but it's also terrible for those homeless people, because they die in their tents of drug overdoses. This is what happens. So most of the people who are now homeless, we have this Genesis shelter, which is 177 tiny houses that are heated, air conditioned, they get fed. Most of the people that are out there now have been offered shelter and they refuse to go. So in January of 20, we haven't been able to enforce our anti-camping rules because of something called the settlement agreement. It was entered into in January of 22. It's why I decided to run for council, because it's a complete disaster. Last 5 years, so it expires in January of 27. If we retain the current majority in the city council, which is conservative, I believe where we'll end up is we'll say, look, you can't camp anymore. There is no camping, period, but we have a place for you in the shelter. There's county mental health services. But if you persist in occupying our public spaces, you're going to have to go to jail. And for those, and that's what the rest of the country does. It is solved. Right. Texas has 1/5 the rate of homelessness of California because that's the way they do it.
And it's common sense conservative.
Absolutely.
Leaders. We're talking about common sense conservatives, guys. So, the one thing that I really liked what you said is, if you really think it's compassionate to let somebody out in the elements to die. You know, I was driving down the street and I saw this woman and she was fighting with herself, and you could tell she was confused. She was mentally ill. Who thinks that's compassionate?
No, exactly. But what happens, so I do ride-alongs with the police just to see what they do. And we have a fantastic police force here. I mean, really impressive.
Yes.
So one day this was December 2 years ago. We had a very cold December, a couple days before Christmas. We get a call on the radio, dead guy in a tent. So we go across from Windshine Park. There's a slough and there's a strip of grass there. So we show up and there's a guy who's laying on top of his sleeping bag with no shirt on. It's probably 27 or 28 degrees. He'd been there for 24 hours. His girlfriend was in the tent with him. She was so stoned, she didn't realize he was dead. So they finally called the cops, and I talked to the officer, the duty officer. I said, "Did you know this guy?" He said, "Yeah, I offered to take him to the tourist shelter, bring his stuff, half a dozen times, and he wouldn't go." And so he ended up, but leaving that person out there to die is not compassion. And so they need to be required to use the shelter or services, get their life back.
And Tom, that's what I want people to wake up and understand. This is common sense policy. If you want to be, and think about human to human humanity, it is to say, had he been required to go to either one of those three options, not only would he be alive, but he could be a contributing member of society.
That's right.
You listen to me. Okay, yeah, I'm telling the city councilmen what to do.
That's all right. Everybody else does.
All right. Well, I want you to know something. You have a home here at the Jack Show. I am absolutely intrigued by your vigor. I am excited about the future of my community that I raised my daughter in. If it wasn't for the community, we've got a lot of mutual friends that helped raise me. In turn, I was able to raise a beautiful child. Thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing. But before you go, you had mentioned a little bit we talked about the homelessness. I want to play one more clip, and we're going to talk just a little bit more. And then at the very end of this interview, you're going to play the Jack Show's Fast Five. But let's take a look at this clip right here, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Anybody who's an honest observer of the homeless situation in California is what we have done has failed. I mean, we've failed those people out there, and we've failed the cities. It's not compassionate to let somebody die in a tent. And that's what we have been doing. The state spent $24 billion to eradicate homelessness, and it went up 40%. We got to do something different.
Like I said, that's everything you had just said. I mean, you are in tune with what's happening, not just in our nation, but what's happening in our backyard.
Well, I've made I'm not saying I've made a study of it, but I've been around this homeless situation for a long time. I've read a lot, and my wife and I like to travel, not only in the United States, but we like to go to Germany because the beer is good, and southern Germany. But I make a point of chatting up the police. So I was in Munich, and we were it's a park along the river, Isar River. And we saw a couple of young police officers kind of shadowing a political demonstration. So we chatted them up. My wife's German's pretty good. I can order what I want in a restaurant, but she's a translator. So I said, "Where are the homeless people?" And we had a longer conversation on this, but I said, "Where are the homeless people?" And the police officer said, "We have homeless people, but they have a place to go, and they have to go there." And I thought, bingo, that's it. And so that concept of you have a place to go, but you have to go there is what every state in the country, the United States, that has lowered homelessness has done. The states that have treated it like California, where they frankly just haven't had the will to say to these people, no, you don't have a right to camp in public spaces, they've seen homelessness explode. Mm-hmm. And to the detriment of not only the cities, but of the homeless people. And so there's 20 years of data. You can look at states that have gotten it right, like like Texas and Florida, states that have gotten it wrong, like California and Oregon and New York. And it's all about policy.
Tom, are you ready to play my Fast Five? This is going to be fun. Let's go. I don't think I'll be able to embarrass you. All right. Are we ready? There was a bridge that was famous here in our community. It burned down, but it's been rebuilt. What's the name of that bridge?
Gosh, it's up on Honeyrun Bridge.
You got it right there. All right. And this is going to be a bonus. What year was the original bridge built? It was before the 1900s.
Yeah, I was going to say 1875 or 6.
Oh, he's so close. 1887.
Okay.
That was so good. All right. We all love Casey Reynolds. And for all of you who don't know our great mayor, Casey has been a leader in our community. She's also a business owner. Tell me, what business?
Casey makes the best ice cream, peanut brittle, and toffee you will ever eat in your life, and it's called Schubert's.
Let's go. He's got it. Do we have our prices ready? All right. And our last one. We've got a few breweries here in town, but there's one that is well renowned. They also have been doing a lot of environmental with solars and things like that. Can you name that brewery?
It's here in Nevada.
Let's go. And bonus question, who's the owner?
Ken Grossman.
Oh, and the last one, because this one's from our engineer, Sean McFarland. A big shout out to Sean. What's his daughter's name?
Sierra.
Let's go. High five. Let's go. Tom, thank you so much for joining us today. Guys, for more information about Tom, your city councilman, please Google him. Go to Facebook. Click on thejackshows.com. I'm going to have a link there too. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you, Jack.